Alright, what is going on, guys? My name is Leon Master. Welcome back to another Overwatch League news video. And today, guys, we actually have a lot to go over today. A lot of news has been coming out. We got some retirements as well, and they're in the middle of the video. And we're going to talk about some of the biggest stuff that has happened this past day with Florida Mayhem, with Toronto Defiant, and so on. So let's go ahead and talk about the Florida Mayhem. If you guys did not know, they actually did a full stream on their whole roster announcement, basically signing 3 players, because they also needed to sign 3 players to have the right amount of players to join the Overwatch League, or at least play, I should say, in the Overwatch League. So basically, I'm just going to talk about their new announcements, but here is the tweet they put out. Basically, the new announcements they made is OG, Slime, and Checkmate, all for their new team on the Florida Mayhem. We knew they had to get a main tank replacement, same thing goes for main support, but they also got Checkmate. So let's go ahead and talk about OG. Obviously, everyone's looking at OG. You know, there's a lot of risk of getting a player like OG, but honestly, I think this is going to be his year. We said that about last year, but this one I feel a lot more confident on. OG's on a top team, like guaranteed at this point. You know, you have all the players around you like Gargoyle, Gangnam Jin, Yaki, maybe BQB will be even better this year. And on top of that, you have Slime. So OG's coming in this team with a lot of top players, you know, compared to what he was on the LA Gladiators, where it was a lot of players still working on being some of the best. OG, you know, he's been known to be kind of inconsistent, you know, on both Dallas Fuel, on the LA Gladiators, now going to be on the Florida Mayhem, which if you look at it in a sense, it could be a really good replacement for Fate. Now, it all depends on if the coaching staff got OG, if OG's maybe happy on this team, and also just plays around this team even better than he was on previous other teams. Now, will that be the case? Let's see if it does happen or not, because I do think OG, like I said already, has potential to be really good this year, and even his best year yet. Honestly, I can see him being really consistent on this team. I mean, he ended up getting really consistent on the LA Gladiators near the end of the season, which could be a good sign. You know, it may not have been the best performances, but at least he was having consistent performances. So let's hope he actually has consistent performances on the Florida Mayhem, and they are top tier plays, very aggressive, because OG is a very aggressive player, and he definitely fits this team's playstyle with Yaki on the side, especially Gangnam Jin, and on top of that, Gargoyle, and these new signings with Slime and Checkmate. Now let's go ahead and talk about Slime. On top of that, we knew Slime is still a top main support. Unfortunately, we could have not seen that at all last season, because he was on the Seoul Dynasty, you know, bench majority of the season. He had his moments on Vancouver at the start of the season, but that was really it. We didn't really get to see Slime play at all this season. It was really unfortunate to see that, but we knew he was going to be on a different team next season, if not start on the Seoul Dynasty if Toby was going to be gone, and now he's on a different team on the Florida Mayhem. I'm honestly really excited to see how this turns out for Slime. You know, he's still a top main support player, still aggressive, can be passive at times as well, depends on how his playstyles fit for the team. He's probably going to be more of that aggressive playstyle with his team as well. He's known to be a really good shot caller, and just everything around Slime is just really good, and I can't wait to see how he brings his playstyle to this team. And honestly, Slime's a massive upgrade over Chris, so I can't wait to see how the Slime and Gangnam Jin duo work out. And on top of that, the next signing is Checkmate. I will be honest, I have not really watched Checkmate that much, but what it seems like is that he's a solid player. I don't think he's going to end up starting for Yaki, though. That's just for me personally. You know, I've seen a little bit of footage of Checkmate. I still think Yaki's going to start when it comes to the flex DPS area, because Yaki's been insane all last season, but Checkmate does fill some holes. Yaki may not be able to play that well, so I definitely think that's why a big reason why Checkmate was signed to this team, because Checkmate can play maybe other heroes Yaki can't at a higher level. So Checkmate comes in for that. Yaki plays his heroes, Checkmate plays his heroes. There's most likely going to be a rotation for certain maps, certain metas, all that kind of, you know, conversation kind of comes around with Checkmate and Yaki. Big signings from Florida Mayhem, definitely upgrading their roster. The only risk is obviously OG. I think Kuki does have a chance to work with OG though, because Kuki, if you guys did not know, was actually a main tank for the Seoul Dynasty in the past, and a little bit on the LA Valiant when he got to play main tank, but obviously he was transitioned to a main support because Moon wanted that. A coach, previously main tank, so he could end up working well with OG. I do think this is OG's year though. I definitely think it will be rusty at the start, or at least rough I should say at the start, and then he'll grow throughout the season and become this top main tank we all hope that he could be. But I still think there will be a few inconsistent games. I don't know if that will change though, being on Florida Mayhem. I hope he does end up becoming super consistent and be that top main tank we all know and love that we could see from him. We all know he has that potential, and everyone knows that. Everyone ranks him high on their list because we all know OG has potential, but we're just not seeing it from all the teams he's been on. So hopefully Kuki can coach him into that top player. Now onto the Toronto Defiant. If you guys did not see, they actually, in my opinion, made a pretty big move And they have signed NYXL from T1, previously from Fusion University, and we all know it's coming at some point that he was going to be in the Overwatch League. He's had great performances in contenders. I would say T1 has been pretty rough in contenders, so he couldn't really show off everything that he's been known to be good at, on Philadelphia Fusion University. He was on T1, rough couple of seasons for T1, but he still showed great performances as he could, and nice on a Toronto Defiant. I will say, I definitely think they do need maybe one more flex DPS, but NYXL is very flexible. He can play many hit scans, which is honestly needed, for Overwatch League. We've seen a lot of double hit scan meta last season with hero pools, and also he's very flexible on multiple roles in the flex area on projectile heroes. So NYXL definitely going to be a big pickup for this team. I also agree with other Toronto fans that they may need one more hardcore flex DPS player that plays majority projectile heroes and maybe occasionally some hit scan, but NYXL definitely plays a decent amount of hit scan and a decent amount of projectile. So he's definitely a good pickup for this team. Very flexible on multiple roles that are meta. Majority of the heroes he does play end up becoming meta as well. On top of that, he can also play a really good Zarya. So if there ever is a moment where DPS players need to play Zarya again, NYXL could easily do that. I do think it kind of fits the whole Philadelphia Fusion thing for Toronto Defiant. It's what it looks like. KDG, he's worked at Philadelphia Fusion. Maybe Fusion University when they had to do internal scrims at some points. They definitely have to do that at some point, and he's probably worked with NYXL a little bit, not a lot, but it's another Philadelphia Fusion, that kind of thing. He's got Sato, got Hisu, and now even NYXL on top of that. But all around, Toronto Defiant is honestly done with their roster. They have 3 DPS players. Logix may not really play that much this season. They have 2 tanks and 2 supports, and on top of that, they have Beast as well, so it's kind of 3 tanks. But the main roster is going to be Hisu, NYXL, Sato, Michelle, and on top of that, with Onsunje and Aztec, that's going to be the main roster, unless they sign one more DPS player for the flex role, only majority projectile. Now on to the Philadelphia Fusion. If you guys did not see, here's the post they had. It's a long post. If you guys want to read it, go ahead and pause the video. But basically, I'm going to make it pretty short. They're going to be playing in the APAC region. They want their players to be safe during everything going on with COVID and all of that on top of that. They're just going to play in the APAC region. Probably the safest bet for them, and they're just going to stick there. And also, on top of that, it kind of leads some, mix-ups, in the APAC region. But we'll see Philadelphia Fusion, maybe potentially even some more teams. There's rumors right now it could be the Dallas Fuel, Toronto Defiant going to the APAC region as well. We'll see where this goes on. I'm excited to see some things mixing up for the APAC region because it was honestly kind of getting boring at some point seeing those same teams back to back. So now we're going to see Philadelphia Fusion go there. It may get boring as well during this next season, but maybe we'll see some mix-ups. Now onto the retirements part of this section of the video, and I will say Jjanu earlier in this day has said that he was going to retire, and he's actually gone back from that statement. So Jjanu is no longer going to be retired anymore. And now we're going to talk about the person who has retired, and it is, unfortunately, Jjanu. Jjanu, previously from Vancouver, runaway Washington Justice, has retired. And basically, here is a full translation from Garamachan. I'm really sorry if I said your name wrong. I've talked about this person's translations a lot on my videos in the past. And this person has now translated what Jjanu has said with him retirement from pro play. Basically, all this tweet says is that he's done with pro play. He still plays Overwatch as a hobby, though, because it is fun from that, but he's quitting as a pro because of previous things that's happened with him, probably Vancouver Titans, and he said some things at the Washington Justice that he's not going to say. He's avoiding talking about that. But in general, all around, he is going to keep playing the game, and he's also going to stream, is what it looks like. So all around, it does suck to see him go. Also, there was a leak from Halo of Thoughts that Jjanu and Meko are actually having a hard time finding teams this next season, which really sucks to see because they're some of the best off things you could have gotten this next season. And there's a lot of places they could have gone to. Maybe the Boston Uprising, they're looking like they don't want to get unknown players anymore. Maybe Meka would have fit really well on that team, and maybe there's some other teams all around in that as well. But it does suck to see him go, though. Jjanu was a great player. He was very consistent all around, even in contenders and his ways in Overwatch League and how he had dealt with stuff in Vancouver Titans, and he was all around still solid on the Washington Justice. So it sucks to see Jjanu gone. It sucks to see a lot of runaway players now retire being in the Overwatch League. You had Stitch, who looks like he's going to retire from this tweet as well. You have Hacksaw retired. And we don't know any word on Bumper and maybe even Tizzy. We know Tizzy is doing his service right now, but that's all we know from previous runaway players. Twilight is on the Shock still, and Slime's now on the Florida Mayhem. So we'll see where that goes on later on. Now I do have a leak, and before we go into this leak, please take this with a grain of salt. I'm not talking about Halo of Thoughts. I'm talking about someone completely new. Now, if y'all don't know, there has been a new leaker going around on Twitter recently, and his name's Leak Mafia. He has been decently wrong in the past before, but now he's kind of learned his new ways of leaking stuff, and ever since he's learned his new ways, he's actually been getting right a lot recently. And all I'm going to show is this one thing. I actually know nothing about this player if it is true. Is basically the NYXL are expected to sign OZ Gaming main support Friday. Now, I have done some research on Friday, and all I could see is that people are not really liking Friday being the main sport. I've heard he's not the best, but he could do well being on this team. Being on a really solid team is what it looked like, and maybe even the coaching staff could help him out a lot as well. But all I've seen is kind of in the mix of Friday, not the best player he could have gotten. But that's all my research has done with Friday. I've not seen this guy play that much. That's the leak for you guys. I'm not going to talk about that a lot. Please take it as a rumor when it comes from Leak Mafia right now. Until Leak Mafia gets maybe a ton more right, like maybe in the 50 area, maybe even 100, give him some time, and maybe we'll start believing in him more. But I will say he has been right a lot these past couple of days, so maybe he's going to be right for Friday, in case anyone was looking out for that. Speaking of the NYXL, they have also officially announced that Yakpung and BiaNcA are on their team. We talked about these leaks previously a lot in the past videos of mine, but basically, going to run it down for you guys. Quick summary, there's Yakpung has been really good in contenders recently. If you guys only seen him for his Toronto Defiant performance, don't think about that at all when he comes in the NYXL next season. He actually has been performing really good in contenders, one of the best main tanks actually in contenders, so he can definitely shake up a few things on the NYXL. And also BiaNcA, we all know how good he was from playing on the NYXL last season. He's a great off tank, very flexible on all off tanks. He can play Zarya well, he can play D.Va well, and even a Hog well, maybe even Sigma. I couldn't really see a Sigma that much, but he's all around a really good off-tank player coming in this team. I definitely think they'll be a solid tank duo. Probably not the best, but they'll definitely be a definition of maybe solid, if not A tier, maybe even near S tier conversations. But I don't know about this just yet. But these guys will definitely be solid, and I can't wait to see how they perform on the Overwatch League, playing in a whole new team basically. And the last thing that has also been officially announced is Houston Outlaws picking up Joobi. We've talked about Joobi in the past before when it was leaked, and I will say once again, I don't know what I think about Joobi on the Houston Outlaws. I will say I am surprised. Crimzo said everyone was going to be surprised who their main sport was going to be, and I am surprised. I will say when it comes to Joobi, I was expecting someone a little bit better, top tier to play beside Crimzo, but they are getting Joobi, who has had solid performances in contenders, but I don't think of him Overwatch League level just yet. Maybe he will be, maybe surprise me a lot, and maybe surprise everyone. I've not seen the highest opinions on him, but everyone's really proud on Joobi coming into the Overwatch League because he was a collegiate player, the first collegiate player to actually ever come into the Overwatch League is what it is said right now, and I am very excited to see how Joobi performs. Maybe he'll prove me wrong, and I hope he proves me wrong, but from what I've seen in contenders, I don't know if he's Overwatch League level just yet, but maybe things will be shaken up by Junkbunk, because we also got to remember Junkbunk is on the Houston Outlaws. He did the trials, and he saw stuff of Joobi, and maybe we'll see that come through with Joobi on the Houston Outlaws beside Crimzo and Harsha and Junkbunk. We all know Junkbunk's a great coach from San Francisco Shock, Team USA. There is some potential with Joobi on this team because of the coaching staff, so maybe we'll see some things come through with Joobi. I'm excited to see if he performs well. I really am, but I just need to wait and see how things turn out with this guy because I'm not sold on it just yet. And I will say Houston Outlaws are not looking like a team that want to go for the top this next season, so I want them to really surprise me next season with Junkbunk being on the coaching staff. So that was it with all the news today, guys. What are your guys' thoughts on everything that has happened? OG, Slime, checkmate on Florida Mayhem. You have NYXL to Toronto Defiant. Do you think that's good enough for being their only flex DPS? Or do you think they should sign one more player? You also have Philadelphia Fusion going to the APAC region. We have Jjanu retiring. And what are your guys' thoughts on Friday? Do you think Friday will be a good main sport or no? Do you think they should find someone better? What are your guys' thoughts on that? If you guys want to stay more in tune with Overwatch League news and Overwatch League stuff in general, don't forget to subscribe down below. Also, don't forget to join my Discord down below as well. And don't forget to follow my Twitter and my Twitch. And don't forget to hit that bell. And don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. And I'll see you guys on the next one.